It was all the gender stuff, the insistence that men can have babies and such. And now I fear that we like the terrorists is the new that. Liberals need to push back on the dumb ideas that come from their children. The Democrats' problem is the energy of the parties with the young and the young are with the terrorists. That's not good. So talk to your children and remind them you don't really want to live like your heroes.
Bill Maher just took a brutal swing at young Democrats, and it's downright entertaining. The sharp-tongued liberal comic isn't buying the hype, claiming that the so-called fresh generation is merely a rerun of the old guard, stumbling into the same tired blunders. In a scorching monologue, Maher torched sacred progressive talking points, tearing apart the youthful idealism many still cling to. Buckle up, this one stings.
Democrats. Less than 1 in 4 Democrats under 30 say they're proud to be an American. 54% say they're embarrassed by it. Embarrassed? Like America's your mom picking you up at school? You're embarrassed to be an American? Well, guess what? The feeling's mutual, because you have no perspective. Is America perfect? No, of course not. No country is. Although don't get Tucker Carlson started on Russia. But
this is actually a deeply worrying statistic. If 1 in 4 young Democrats feels disenchanted and disinterested in America, then we're staring at a troubling future. A nation cannot survive if its own youth lose faith in it. Sure, America isn't perfect. No country is. But compared to much of the world, this place is paradise. The fact that so many young people see it differently speaks volumes. It's not about reality. It's about conditioning. This mindset is the product of years of left-wing indoctrination that paints America
as leagues ahead of the rest of the world on most of the progressive issues that are important to young people. America has 14 million women-owned businesses. 17% of black women are starting businesses, which is faster than white women or white men. Gay Americans are free to marry, and 49% of them own property. Yes, in America, gays buy buildings. In other places...
In many countries across the Middle East and parts of Africa, the reality for the LGBTQ community is grim. People cannot openly celebrate their sexuality without risking severe punishment, imprisonment, or even death. Out of fear, many are forced to hide in the shadows, living double lives where secrecy becomes survival. Some even enter marriages with the opposite sex just to deflect suspicion while secretly meeting their true partners behind closed doors. The oppression doesn't stop there. Women in several of these regions still face harsh restrictions on their freedoms. The idea of owning or running a business remains unthinkable in many places. It's a harsh truth few want to face.
You think are cringe? Well, they're cringe because America changed, because we modernized. Way more than most societies have. Our current Congress is the most racially and ethnically diverse ever. They're like a beautiful, useless rainbow. And we proudly live in a land where every TV commercial features a mixed-race couple, including the ones where it makes no sense. Mom's black, dad's white, and the kid's Asian.
Yes, America has bent over backward time and again to accommodate, please, and elevate every group within its borders. From the LGBTQ+ community to racial minorities and beyond, every administration, regardless of party, has rolled out policies and programs designed to uplift marginalized voices and celebrate diversity. On paper, it sounds noble, embracing differences, promoting multiculturalism, and ensuring everyone feels recognized. But at some point, you have...
For Democrats, their young people, their key constituency, not only don't like their own civilization, they like the wrong one. They actually think Hamas is a liberation movement. They chant for the Houthis. They're chanting, "We will honor our martyrs" at Yale. They're looking for love in all the wrong countries. Someone needs to tell the kids that America is not the society where women basically have no rights, where there's zero freedom of religion and where dissent is punishable by death. Our democracy may be on life support, but we still have elections.
Many of the freedoms we casually take for granted in America are the very rights people elsewhere would literally risk their lives to attain. The ability to speak freely, to worship, or not without fear, to protest the government, to vote, to love who you choose, and to pursue opportunity on your own terms. These are luxuries for millions across the world. Yet somehow, our younger generation seems blind to this reality. Instead of appreciating the freedoms they've inherited, many are quick to point fingers and insist that America is the problem. Even worse, they romanticize countries that trample on human rights as though those places hold some kind of moral high ground. It's both naive and dangerous. If we don't teach the next generation to value what we have, we risk losing the very freedoms that make America exceptional.
When an Irish rap group projected onto screens, "Fuck Israel, free Palestine," got big applause. "Globalize the Intifada" is the catchphrase that's really catching on these days, as if worldwide suicide bombing and cosplaying Islamic revolutionaries is the answer to our problem.
It's honestly sad to see the kinds of causes young Democrats are eager to champion. Many seem more passionate about promoting foreign ideologies or praising nations that suppress freedom than about protecting the liberties we already enjoy at home. But let's play along for a second. Let's even grant their claim that some of these countries are supposedly doing better than America. How exactly does that help us? Do they really want us to copy systems that crush dissent, silence free thought, and strip away democracy? Should we abandon free speech and toss out the very principles that made America a beacon of hope, all to emulate nations where citizens live in fear of their own governments? If that's their vision, then they're not fighting for progress. They're fighting for regression disguised as enlightenment.
Rally in Idaho last month, someone threw a Palestinian flag over an American flag, and the crowd erupted in approval. What should have happened after that is one of the adults on stage should have told their young, loyal followers, "This is not a symbol of freedom. This is."
Everything young Democrats believe today, their worldview, their rhetoric, their marching orders, has been spoon-fed to them by the older generation of left-wing leaders. Figures like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Zoran Mamdani, Ilhan Omar, and Gavin Newsom have carefully shaped their thinking, drilling into them the idea that America is broken, corrupt, and undeserving of pride. Instead of instilling gratitude for living in one of the freest, most prosperous nations in history, these leaders encourage them to idolize foreign systems, even those that offer far fewer rights and freedoms. It's a steady drumbeat. Glorify others, vilify America. The result? A wave of young Democrats who see patriotism as outdated and mock the very foundations of the country that gives them their platform. What they don't realize is that this mindset weakens political discourse, undermines unity, and fuels the slow erosion of national pride.
And the Democratic Party keep encouraging and not rebuking the idea that America is cringe and the people who run Gaza are great. The Democrats are doomed. Alyssa Slotkin's right. Liberals are weak and woke, especially the white ones, and they indulge all sorts of nonsense from their kids, a pattern that then continues on in the Democratic Party.
I've always said it on this channel, and I'll keep saying it. The Democrats are weak and hopelessly woke. They don't stand for anything solid anymore. Instead of showing real leadership, they fold under pressure, bowing to every radical demand and pandering to whichever group screams the loudest. It's not strength, it's cowardice dressed up as progress. The party has become so consumed with pleasing the far left that it's lost touch with everyday Americans who crave common sense and stability. If Democrats could find the willpower and courage to stand up to their own extremists, they might restore some credibility and maybe even reclaim the White House. But as long as weakness and wokeness rule the day, Democrats are setting themselves up for failure.
It was all the gender stuff, the insistence that men can have babies and such, and now I fear that "we like the terrorists" is the new that. Liberals need to push back on the dumb ideas that come from their children. The Democrats' problem is the energy of the party is with the young and the young are with the terrorists. That's not good. So talk to your children and remind them you don't really want to live like you're here.
Democrats need to face a hard truth. If they want to regain the power and influence they once held, they must ditch the woke mob altogether. Catering to every radical whim and listening to their loudest, most online supporters, often their own kids, has led them down a path of political self-destruction. The obsession with identity politics, cancel culture, and virtue signaling might win applause on social media, but it alienates everyday Americans who care more about real issues like jobs, security, and stability. Instead of letting their indoctrinated children dictate the agenda, Democrats should reconnect with the center. If they don't course-correct soon, the party risks becoming a hollow echo chamber rather than a serious force in American politics.
Your Grubhub, your freedom to bitch about America, that's all American stuff. You tell your phone you want a milkshake and a guy brings it to your house. Please, you couldn't survive a week living in Intifadaville. You're like the girl in White Lotus who was going to live in a Buddhist monastery and then lasted.
It's true. Many of these young people who proudly wave banners for terrorists and oppressive regimes wouldn't last a single day living under those same systems. They scream about justice and resistance from the safety of America, shielded by freedoms they don't even appreciate. The irony is almost laughable. They imagine themselves as brave revolutionaries fighting for a noble cause. Yet when faced with the brutal realities of those regimes, the lack of free speech, the oppression, the brutality, they'd crumble instantly. It's easy to play the radical when you're protected by America's liberties. But when those liberties don't exist, it's a very different story. At the end of the day, America's biggest challenge isn't foreign enemies. It's the mindset brewing within its own borders. Too many young Democrats have been blinded by indoctrination, idolizing nations that crush freedoms while scorning the liberties they freely enjoy. If this disillusionment continues, the nation risks unraveling from the inside. The solution is simple. Wake up, face reality, and protect what makes America great before it's too late. Otherwise, the freedoms we take for granted may vanish. And that brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.